Thanks for that, Amanda. It's a truly well-oiled machine, I can tell. Great start. But anyway, look, thank you for the opportunity to come and present at the conference. It's a fantastic event, and I think of all the many conferences that we do through the year, this is definitely one of the best ones that we do attend. Putting together this presentation was a really good chance for us to reflect on what's happened in the last year, and it's been an incredible journey, I think it would be fair enough to say. If we think back a year ago now, we were a company called Orteco Minerals, obviously changed our name to Firefly, but we'd had the asset for only 2 weeks. So, you know, I was standing up here, looking around the room, and, you know, people were thinking, who the hell are these Australian guys? What are they doing? What's going on with Rambler? You know, it was a lot of uncertainty around. And it's great to be here today to give you a bit of an update on what's been achieved in the last year, which is a real testament to our team. And it's been nothing short of spectacular, to be quite fair. So go back a year in time, October 2023. We only got the keys to this on the 20th of October last year. And the landscape was very different for us and the company. You know, Rambler left behind $100 million of debt, and today we have no debt. That was all cleared, streams removed, and that has had a massive impact on the economics of the project and really gives us a chance to get it back up and running. They had no cash in the bank. You know, we now have $88 million in the bank. We've raised over $120 million in the last, 12 months to help rebuild this mine. And I think that speaks to the quality of the project and also the way that Newfoundland and Labrador is really viewed in the mining investment community globally. You know, our market cap as a company was about $70 million Australian, and the exchange rate at the moment, it's pretty similar to Canadian dollars. Before Mr. Trump was elected and the copper price got smashed, our market cap was $700 million in a year. So it has just been a massive transformation, 10-time increase in market cap and 249% increase in the share price. So we do have some pretty happy investors out there. When we bought this, the resource was about 39 million tonnes at 2.1% copper equivalent. And if you think back to when I presented last year, we saw a lot of potential for that to grow, and we've done that. We've just recently put out our resource update, and we've now got this up to 59 million tonnes at 2% copper equivalent, which is starting to get really serious on a global scale in terms of both tonnes and grade, and really putting us on the map in terms of potential copper producing mines. And then the workforce. A lot of people lost their jobs after Rambler went under, and that had a massive flow-on effect to the community, not just the direct jobs, but also the ancillary jobs, the support jobs. They were down to 35 people on the care and maintenance team, and we're up to 85 people on site now, and that will continue to grow as we move closer and closer back to bringing this mine back into production. So, you know, we've got 4 rigs underground. We're mining again. We're developing. And it's just been a massive effort from the team to achieve that in a year's time, just in the space of 1 year. So, next year is going to be pretty exciting as well. So just in terms of the corporate snapshot, as I mentioned before, we're pretty well positioned to fund our growth plans moving forward. The key thing for us is we've got no streams on it anymore. There's no offtake agreement, so we're free to negotiate that and use that as a potential source to fund the reconstruction of the Ming mine. And we've been really well supported by global investment community. We may be Australian listed, but we have global shareholders. So, a lot of our register is from North America, from Canada, US. BlackRock out of London is our biggest shareholder, and that is a ringing endorsement. They are the biggest natural resources fund in the world, and the fact that they see the potential in this little mine in Newfoundland that we do is a great endorsement for the community and the mine and the direction we're taking it. The other thing also is that we are listing on the TSX as well. So we'll be dual listed as of the end of this month and have a foot in both camps. So, Garrett alluded to in the last presentation, it's been pretty hard to raise capital for a lot of junior companies. It has been a little bit easier to get our hands on the capital in Australia compared to Canada for various reasons. So we'll continue to have a foot in the Australian camp for the access to capital, and also because, you know, Canada's the natural home of the company and the assets, and the majority of our employees will also be listed on the TSX as well. All right, so look, everyone knows where, you know, we are. We're in the northern part around the Bay Vert district. You know, the one thing I would really like to point out here, and we heard a bit from the Premier yesterday, that Newfoundland and Labrador is truly one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. And I know because I've worked in a lot of them, and I travel quite frequently. It's something that the local government should be really proud of. Really, you know, to bring in the investment. It is truly a great place to work. And look, you know, the only other comment I'd make is that, you know, really listen closely to the Minister for Mining yesterday give his presentation on the importance of critical minerals. We know that, you know, at the moment, you know, supply is you know, dominated by China and that, and there's a, you know, collective government response to try and secure the supply chain in like-minded countries. You know, with the decarbonisation of the economy and the forecast shortages in copper, there should be a really big opportunity, and it's almost a generational opportunity to develop these mines and projects. So, you know, my message to the federal minister is like, you know, lots of words about how we need critical minerals and how it's critical to make it, you know, de-risk our supply chain. Please work with us to help fast-track the development of these projects, because they do get held up for quite a length of time. But, you know, the support we've had from the provincial government has been nothing short of first class. So the vision we had last year, and it hasn't changed one little bit, is we want to build a world-class copper mine, you know. And, you know, to do that, we've enacted a strategy that's been very clear and very consistent, and we've seen the results of that. We didn't get straight back into mining because, as I've put down here, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, and we're not going to go the same way as Rambler did. So, you know, we've decided to pause the mining, reset the economics of the operation, and just show how big this deposit can be to set it up for the long term. No need to rush back into production. So what we're trying to do is demonstrate that we've got more than 15 years mine life. So we've done a lot of investment in an exploration drift. We've done a lot of investment in drilling. And what we're doing in the background is a lot of engineering work to really look at rescaled and upscaled operations at the mine to make it work. You know, mining's a pretty simple game when it comes down to the dollars and cents. It's all about unit costs. And if you've got a big ore body and you need a large scale, you reduce those unit costs and it's highly profitable. And, you know, for me, one of the key reasons that Rambler failed is you had a huge ore body and a small processing plant. So to put that into context, we now have 60 million tonnes in resource. You know, the processing plant out there is only 500,000 tonnes per annum. So even without adding another tonne of copper and the ore body's still open, you know, it'd take 120 years to process it. And that scale does not work. So we have to rebuild this mine at a much larger scale. We're going to rebuild a new mill on our site, and that eliminates a lot of the cost involved in haulage. It also gives us benefits from a mining point of view, where we can put the tailings underground and use it as backfill, and really improve the economics of what we're dealing with. So just to summarise what we've got at the Green Bay Copper Gold Project in very simplistic terms, you know, the highlights can be summarised into 4 key things. We've already got a large baseload of copper that is rapidly approaching global significance. It's one of the biggest undeveloped copper mines now in Canada. All right, so it's gone from insolvency to being one of the biggest undeveloped projects in just a year. So we've just put out our resource update. You know, we've got the 59 million tonnes at 2% copper equivalent. and we've got 1 million tonnes of contained copper in the ground now. So, we don't talk about in situ values because the market doesn't let us, but the current copper price is around $9,500 a tonne, and we've got US, that is, and we've got over 1 million tonnes of copper in our resource now. So I'll let you guys do the math. Very, very valuable deposit for us moving forward. And it's a great location. We've got the power, we've got the operationally ready underground mine, and a fantastic workforce that wants to come home to Newfoundland. So we've had no problems in terms of getting employees to come back and work with us. The infrastructure that's there, although we're going to have to do a lot of work on that infrastructure to upscale the mine, it gives us a huge head start. The replacement cost of that would be $250 million. So the fact that we can already get down 900 metres underground and drill just gives us a massive benefit. The fact that there's already a shaft there, even if we don't use it for haulage, it's still really important from a ventilation point of view. It's all money we don't have to spend, and it's all things that can make this project happen very quickly. Low-hanging fruit, the ore body is open and it plunges down at depth. And, Rambler did one drill hole back in 2017, 460 metres in front of where the mine finished, and it had 102 metres at 1.7% copper in it, and there was no drilling in front of it, no drilling around it. So, but knowing the geological nature of these deposits, we were very, very confident that it would continue. And the drilling that we've done in the last year has proven that, and it actually goes out well beyond that exploration hole. So the ore body is still open, and we'll continue to drill it and follow it down plunge and grow it even more from that 60 million tonnes. So, it's still going to grow. And then the final game changer for us, and I think Garrett had a bit of that on his slide as well, is this isn't just the Ming deposit, it's not just the Little Deer deposit, it is a mineral district, and it's very rare for these VMS type deposits to be orphans. They don't occur by themselves. And what we've done a lot of work on since we've arrived is actually increasing the amount of land that we've got in the district. We've just picked up the Tilt Cove property, which was back in the 1800s one of Canada's biggest copper mines. And we really want to discover and, add value through the drill bit. And, there's been a chronic lack of investment in central Newfoundland in exploration over the last 30 years, particularly in this Bay Vert area. And we see a really good opportunity to apply modern geophysics, modern exploration techniques to discover more and more copper and make this thing even bigger. So the strategy and how we're going to do it, it's very, very simple. And this is a game plan that we've implemented at numerous places we've worked in Australia, numerous mines that we've rebuilt. The first one is resource growth. So, one of the common mistakes that gets made in mining is you don't know how big this thing is when you start. Therefore, you don't set it up for success from the start. So we've invested a lot of money and effort into drilling. We've had 4 underground drill rigs. We've already done 40 kilometres of drilling in the last year. We've got another 90 kilometres to go in the next year and a half. Gus and his team have mined about 1,500 metres of exploration development to get the drill rigs into a position to actually extend the resource, and that's really important. And we're using geophysics to prove that the resource still continues. So, that has been a key approach and key part of our approach. And we've seen the results that we've delivered in the first year, and that will continue into the new calendar year as well. The next one there is the operational reset. So we're doing a lot of work in the background on technical economic studies for that rescaled operation, because there is a large operation here. We're working very closely with the government departments, the teams on site, to really prove what we've got and get it permitted as quickly as possible. We've already engaged a number of leading consulting firms in NTEC, Asenco, Stantec and Knights Pietzol to assist us through that process. But that work is underway, and now what we're trying to do is work out what the optimal scale of what we're dealing with is. So that operational reset is well and truly in progress. And to the point before, the regional discovery. Since we've been here, we've increased the land holding from 42 square kilometres up to 326 square kilometres. You know, it's not just about the size of the land that matters, it's how prospective it is. So we are being pretty picky with which ground we pick up, and we've just welcomed Crispin Pike on board with our team as well to spearhead that regional exploration campaign. So very confident that we'll make more discoveries in this particular district. So just in terms of the ore body, this thing is becoming an elephant. VMSs globally are typically small, poddy, and a little bit inconsistent, whereas this thing is a bit of an exception to the rule. We now have a known strike length of over 2 kilometres on this deposit, which is very unusual for a VMS, and a broad, you know, it is a big system. So there's two main styles of mineralisation here. Up top you have a very high grade massive sulphide VMS that formed on the seafloor, and those individual channels, there's 4 or 5 of them, they can be up to 100 metres wide, you know, 15 to 20 metres in true thickness, up to that, and the strike now is well over 2 kilometres, so very large scale, and that's what a lot of the historic mining focused on. But one of the things that they'd only just got into as Rambler is the large footwall zone, and you know, that is a bulk ore body. Some areas of that can be up to 300 metres in width, you know, up to 200 metres in thickness, and now that pipe goes for over 2 kilometres. So really amenable to bulk mining, underground long hole transverse stoping, for example. And you can see also on this diagram where we put our exploration drive out and the angles that we're actually drilling it at. So with the resource update, I won't spend too much time on this. As I said, it's increased significantly. We had a 42% increase in the metal in just a year, but you know, we're up to nearly 1 million tonnes of contained copper, 550,000 ounces of gold, and 5.4 million ounces of silver. So it's a very large polymetallic system and still open. The deepest hole that we've drilled into it now, into the footwall zone, returned 61 metres at 1.8% copper. So, you know, we know that it's continuing, and that's a couple of 100 metres in front of that old exploration hole. One of the things that's really interesting is we've reported the resource at a 1% cut-off, and that's, you know, comparable to what was reported previously. But, you know, as I said before, mining's a game of costs and unit costs. And what becomes really apparent is if you were able to reduce the cut-off grades to something that is mined underground in other parts of the world, like a 0.5% copper cut-off, you see a lot of mines, the head grade isn't even 0.5% copper. It increases to 93 million tonnes, which is a serious deposit. So, you know, we are investigating ways to make this bigger, and there's a lot of work to do on that front, but it's very sensitive to cut-off grade. The more you can reduce your costs, the more you can bring your unit costs down, the bigger this thing is going to get. And look, when you compare it to what else is out in the market at the moment in terms of the resource size, we compare very favourably. One of the big development projects in Canada at the moment is a company called Foran, and they're developing a project in Saskatchewan. Their market cap's about $1.7 billion, but when you dig down into the actual copper content, they've got 516,000 tonnes of copper. We're up to 997,000 tonnes at a better grade. So, you know, this is becoming very, very serious deposit. As I said before, there's two styles of mineralisation. We've got that upper high grade part, and what's amazing is that VMS zone itself is a serious ore body in its own right. We got 6 million tonnes now at 4.3% copper equivalent, which is incredible grade, and that'll be amenable to the selective mining, and it is still open. You can see where we've extended the resource boundary from and to, and we've got plans to do a lot of drilling this year. You can see here the game plan: drill, 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 follow it down, plunge, and by the end of next year we'll have another resource update out. Hopefully, if the ore body continues, which we've got indications that it does, we'll add another 700 metres of strike to this thing. So it hasn't finished growing. We've been doing a lot of downhole geophysics, and downhole EM works really well to identify the mineralisation. And you know, what we've seen from the work that we've done is that it's highly probable that the ore body will continue beyond the extent of our current drilling, because we've been getting really good conductive responses. So we expect this ore body to keep going and to continue. As I mentioned before, we're consolidating land in the district, not just any land. It's got to be land that we think has potential for large-scale discoveries. I'm very excited to pick up the Tilt Cove property. Historically produced about 170,000 tonnes of copper, and we think there's a lot of work to do there in terms of unlocking the potential using modern exploration and geophysics. It's not just Tilt Cove though, that's the shiny new toy, but what we've also consolidated in the district is all the other mines that are part of the same system around the old Ming mine. So we've got the old East mine that some of you guys might be familiar with, the Rambler Main mine, Rambler Big Pond mine. They're all part of the same system and the same process, and a lot of these things are open, only being mined to a couple of 100 metres below surface, and we think there's potential to add a lot of resources in the near mine area as well. And you can see some of the surface indicators are, it is an incredibly rich area, and we will make more discoveries and grow the resource through that. All right, so look, just to wrap it up, the game plan, one of the things we try to pride ourselves in is to do what we say we're going to do. When I stood here last year and said, yep, we're going to put in a drill drive, we're going to do 40,000 metres of drilling, we're going to upgrade the resource, we've delivered on all of that. So the next phase for us is to continue on with the growth, continue with the drilling, continue with the underground mining to get the drill rigs in the position to expand the ore body, continue with the geophysics, really kick off now that Crispin's on board with the regional exploration and the discovery work, but also in the background do those engineering studies to prove that we have a serious world-class deposit on our hands here in Newfoundland. And I'll just wrap it up by saying we're also the joint recipient of the John T. Ryan Award, but just like to pay tribute to our team. It was a pretty traumatic experience for them, going through the uncertainty of that insolvency process. And when we met Minister Parsons the other day, he said he was on site, just after Rambler went under, and he was assuring people that there would be better days ahead. And when it's all doom and gloom, people don't see that. But the people that we've got there have pulled together, delivered the results, and there is a lot of hope that has come out of this in the last year. And I'd just like to thank all of the guys involved in that. They've contributed, pulled together and delivered, and we will continue to deliver. We won't stop until the Ming mine's back operating and major world-class deposit. So thank you very much.